Hey beautiful, today's recipe is a super delicious, very easy to make marinated chicken breast. It's marinated in a cilantro based marinade with roasted asparagus, all done on one sheet pan. It's easy to make, so I hope you stick around to see how I do it. I'm also going to share with you the recipe for this amazing roasted tomato sauce. So delicious. This is superb. The flavor, rich. Oh my God.
The recipe is easy to make and it comes together in less than an hour. To get started, I prep my marinade ingredients. I use 1 yellow onion, a medium size, but a white or even a red onion works. Just peel and chop roughly. 3 to 4 scallions, roughly chopped, gets added into a food processor with the onion. I use a nice bunch of fresh cilantro. After all, it's a cilantro marinade, adds a lot of flavor. A nice handful of garlic, about 12 to 15. Don't skimp on the garlic, it makes a big difference. I like to add an acidic component to the marinade. I use the zest from 2 limes, but the zest from lemons work well also. In addition, I add freshly squeezed lime juice. Again, you can use lemon juice instead. About 2 ounces is perfect. I add in some healthy fat like extra virgin olive oil, about 3 tablespoons. This helps with browning. This food processor is very small, so I'm adding in my spice mix after I chop down my herbs and onions. You may use a larger food processor or even a blender. I prefer the food processor because there's tiny bits of the aromatics that I like in the recipe. Look at this. I find the use of a double-sided cotton board useful. One side is used for vegetable and herb prep and the other side for meat. This is 3 pounds of skin-on bone-in chicken breasts. It's about 3/4 of a pound each breast, so they're small. Then I make incisions, 2 to 3 incision, about 1/8 of an inch deep. Helps to absorb the marinade and keep the chicken tender. I pour in all of the marinades, rub it in very well with my fingertips. You can use gloves if you prefer, and I set this aside to marinate for 30 minutes. While the chicken is marinating, I prepare the ingredients for the roasted tomato sauce. I like to use vine ripened tomatoes. About 5 works in this recipe. Cut in quarters and add it to a sheet pan lined with parchment paper. 5 or 6 cloves of garlic, roughly chopped. 1 small yellow or white onion works, peeled and roughly chopped. Add it to the sheet pan with the tomatoes. To bring in the flavors of the chicken marinade, I use about 1/2 cup of cilantro roughly chopped to the tomatoes. A little bit of red pepper flakes for heat, salt, fresh ground black pepper, and a good drizzle of olive oil. Mix it well, and this is roasted at 425 for about 15 to 20 minutes. Set aside to cool. The chicken has finished marinating for about 30 minutes. I add them to a sheet pan lined with parchment paper, and I pour on all of the marinade that remained in the bowl. It's going to add delicious flavor, as well as it's going to give it a nice char. This gets roasted in the preheated oven, 425 degrees. While the chicken is baking, it's time to puree the roasted tomatoes and season it with salt, fresh ground black pepper, as well as some chipotle powder to give it a hint of spice. It is super delicious. This roasted tomato sauce is great with the chicken breast, but it's also perfect with shrimps or even spread it on a toast or use as a dip. I prep my asparagus for adding to my chicken sheet pan. I use 2 bunch of organic asparagus, drizzle with olive oil, sprinkle with fresh ground black pepper and salt. The chicken took about 30 minutes. I add in the asparagus and this gets cooked for another 8 to 10 minutes and it's perfectly done. The total cook time for the chicken breast was 40 minutes. For larger chicken breasts, it'll take 45 to 50 minutes and you don't want to add the asparagus too early because they will be overcooked. Serve the chicken with the tomato sauce and the asparagus. Do hit the subscribe button. Thanks.
It's my favorite time. Tasting. Wow. It is so tender, moist. Look at that. Dip it in some of that sauce. Wow. My gosh. It is incredibly delicious. The tomato sauce added another layer of flavor. The asparagus are perfect. The chicken is so tender, moist, all of that cilantro-based seasoning. Superb. Beautiful people, this is a must try. It's so darn good. Amazing.